Brazil, a land of vibrant culture, stunning beaches, and some of the most fascinating taboos you've ever heard of. From innocent hand gestures that can cause major diplomatic incidents to color combinations that could get you banned from theaters, the Brazilian culture is filled with surprising do's and don'ts that have shocked visitors for generations. Today, we're diving into 12 mind-blowing Brazilian taboos that'll make you think twice about your everyday actions. Whether you're planning a trip to Brazil or just curious about unique cultural beliefs, these unusual customs will leave you amazed at how different societies view the simplest things in life. Get ready to discover why Brazilians never put their bags on the floor and what makes the OK sign a major social faux pas. 12. The OK sign controversy. In many parts of the world, the OK hand gesture is a universal symbol of approval or agreement. But if you're planning a trip to Brazil, you might want to think twice before flashing this seemingly innocent sign. In Brazilian culture, the OK sign is considered one of the most offensive gestures you can make, equivalent to giving someone the middle finger in Western countries. The gesture is seen as vulgar and obscene, representing a rather private body part. This cultural difference has led to numerous awkward situations, especially with foreign tourists and business people who unknowingly use it to express satisfaction. The history behind this taboo dates back several decades, though its exact origins remain somewhat mysterious. What's particularly fascinating is how this interpretation spread throughout Brazilian society, becoming so deeply ingrained that even young children know not to use it. The taboo has even affected international advertising campaigns, with several major companies having to alter their marketing materials for the Brazilian market to remove any OK signs. Perhaps the most notable incident occurred during a visit by former US President Richard Nixon, who unknowingly flashed the OK sign to a crowd in Brazil, causing quite a stir in the local media. Today, with increasing globalization and cultural exchange, many Brazilians understand that foreigners might use the gesture innocently. However, it remains a significant cultural faux pas that can create uncomfortable situations. International companies operating in Brazil now include this cultural tidbit in their employee training programs, and tourist guides make sure to warn visitors about this peculiar taboo. What makes this particularly interesting is how such a universally positive gesture in most cultures can carry such a negative connotation in Brazil, highlighting how cultural context can completely transform the meaning of nonverbal communication. The impact of this taboo extends beyond casual social interactions into the realms of international diplomacy, business relations, and global marketing strategies. Companies must carefully review all their visual materials to ensure they don't accidentally include this gesture, and diplomats receive specific training about this cultural sensitivity before visiting Brazil. 11. Purple and yellow clothing taboo. One of the most peculiar taboos in Brazilian culture involves the combination of purple and yellow clothing. While these colors might seem like a harmless fashion choice to outsiders, wearing them together is considered extremely unlucky in Brazil. This superstition is so deeply rooted that many Brazilians actively avoid this color combination in their daily lives, affecting everything from fashion choices to interior design and even marketing materials. The origins of this taboo trace back to the early 20th century, when Brazil's theater industry was booming. According to local legend, many theatrical productions that featured purple and yellow in their costumes or set designs ended up failing miserably. These failures were often accompanied by accidents, financial disasters, or other misfortunes. The superstition gained such momentum that even today, many Brazilian theaters explicitly ban the use of purple and yellow together in their productions. The belief has transcended the theater world and seeped into everyday life. What makes this taboo particularly fascinating is its impact on modern Brazilian society. Fashion designers must carefully consider this cultural belief when creating collections for the Brazilian market. International brands have had to modify their merchandise to avoid this color combination, and marketing campaigns are often adjusted to respect this cultural sensitivity. Even during Carnival, where bright and bold colors dominate, you'll rarely see purple and yellow combined in costumes or decorations. The influence of this taboo extends to sports teams, corporate branding, and even wedding planning in Brazil. The belief has become so ingrained that many Brazilian retail stores deliberately separate purple and yellow clothing items. placing them in different sections to prevent accidental combinations. Interior designers working in Brazil must be particularly mindful of this taboo when creating spaces for public use. Even in private homes, many Brazilians will unconsciously avoid pairing these colors in their decor choices. The taboo has also affected international advertising campaigns, with global brands often creating Brazil-specific versions of their advertisements to avoid this supposedly unlucky combination. This cultural phenomenon demonstrates how deeply superstitions can influence modern consumer behavior and business practices, creating unique challenges and considerations for both local and international companies operating in the Brazilian market. 10. Whistling indoors. In Brazil, whistling indoors is considered more than just a casual annoyance. It's a serious taboo that many believe can bring financial misfortune and drive money away from a household or business. This superstition is particularly strong in commercial settings, where shop owners and employees strictly enforce a no whistling policy, believing it could negatively impact their business's prosperity. The belief is so widespread that even in modern office buildings, you might find subtle reminders about this cultural taboo. The origins of this belief are intertwined with Brazilian folklore and traditional stories passed down through generations. What's particularly fascinating is how this superstition has adapted to modern times. Even in contemporary office spaces, shopping malls, and entertainment venues, the no whistling rule is respected. Some businesses have even incorporated this belief into their customer service policies, training staff to politely discourage whistling on their premises. The taboo extends to various forms of whistling, including casual tunes, calling for attention, or expressing appreciation. This cultural phenomenon demonstrates how traditional beliefs can persist and evolve in modernized settings. 9. Gift-giving rules. In Brazilian culture, the act of giving gifts comes with a complex set of rules and taboos that often surprise foreigners. One of the most striking is the strict avoidance of sharp objects as gifts. Presenting someone with knives, scissors, or any pointed items is believed to cut the relationship between the giver and receiver. This superstition is taken so seriously that even practical items like kitchen knives for housewarmings are considered inappropriate gifts, potentially causing offense or anxiety for the recipient. The taboo surrounding black-colored gifts is equally significant in Brazilian culture. Giving black items as presents is often viewed as bringing bad luck or negative energy to the recipient. This extends to clothing, accessories, and even decorative items. The only exception is formal black attire for specific occasions, but even then, gifting black items requires careful consideration of the context and relationship with the recipient. This color-based taboo has influenced how international brands package and market their products in Brazil, often requiring special editions or alternative color schemes. The timing of gift-giving also comes with its own set of rules and taboos. Certain gifts are considered inappropriate or unlucky when given at specific times. For example, giving watches as presents is sometimes avoided as it's associated with counting down time and can symbolize limited time in a relationship. Handkerchiefs are another problematic gift, as they're associated with tears and sadness. Even the number of items given must be considered. Giving gifts in sets of 3 is often avoided due to its association with funerals. These gift-giving taboos extend to business settings as well, where understanding these cultural nuances becomes crucial for maintaining professional relationships. International companies operating in Brazil often provide cultural training to their employees about these gift-giving taboos to avoid unintentional faux pas. 8. Mango and milk combination. One of Brazil's most intriguing food-related taboos is the belief that consuming mango and milk together can be lethal. This widely held belief has persisted for generations, with many Brazilians steadfastly avoiding this combination, despite no scientific evidence supporting its dangers. The taboo is so deeply ingrained that some restaurants and cafes explicitly warn customers against ordering items containing both ingredients. And mothers often caution their children about this supposedly dangerous combination. The origin of this belief dates back to colonial times, when slave owners would tell their slaves that this combination was deadly to prevent them from eating the mangoes growing on the plantations. Another theory suggests that the belief stemmed from real incidents where people became ill after consuming spoiled milk with mangoes, leading to a general association between the combination and illness. The superstition has been passed down through generations, becoming an unquestioned part of Brazilian food culture. What's particularly fascinating is how this belief has persisted into the modern era, even among educated urban populations who might otherwise dismiss such superstitions. The taboo has influenced menu planning in restaurants, product development in the food industry, and even school lunch programs. Some Brazilian nutritionists and food scientists have attempted to debunk this myth, but their efforts often face resistance from those who have grown up with this belief. The impact of this taboo extends beyond personal choices into commercial food production. Many Brazilian food manufacturers avoid creating products that combine these ingredients, and ice cream shops might deliberately avoid offering mango flavors alongside milk-based options. 7. Leaving empty shoes upside down. In Brazilian culture, one of the most peculiar household taboos involves shoes, specifically leaving them upside down. This seemingly simple act is believed to bring bad luck and negative energy into the home. The superstition is so widespread that even in modern Brazilian households, family members will quickly correct any shoes that have been accidentally turned over, believing that failing to do so could lead to financial problems or family discord. The origins of this belief are intertwined with various folk explanations. Some say that upturned shoes resemble coffins and therefore symbolize death or loss. Others believe that shoes left upside down can trap negative energy and prevent the natural flow of good fortune through a home. The most common explanation suggests that reversed shoes can turn your luck upside down, leading to a reversal of fortune in all aspects of life, particularly in financial matters. The impact of this taboo extends far beyond private homes. In retail environments, shoe store employees are trained to always display footwear right side up. High-end boutiques and department stores incorporate this cultural sensitivity into their visual merchandising guidelines. Even in modern office buildings and gyms, you might notice Brazilians discreetly adjusting overturned footwear in locker rooms or entrance areas. This belief has influenced both domestic and commercial spaces in surprising ways. Some Brazilian hotels train their housekeeping staff to ensure guests' shoes are always properly positioned. Interior designers often include dedicated shoe storage solutions in their plans to prevent accidental upturning. The taboo has even affected how international shoe companies present their products in Brazilian markets, with visual merchandising guidelines specifically addressing proper shoe positioning. This demonstrates how cultural superstitions can influence behavior and business practices in unexpected ways, even in urban, modernized settings. 5. Placing a bag on the floor. One of the most widely observed taboos in Brazilian culture involves placing bags, especially purses and wallets, directly on the floor. This action is believed to bring financial misfortune and drain money from the owner. The superstition is so deeply ingrained that you'll often see Brazilians going to great lengths to avoid putting their bags down, even in seemingly clean or appropriate settings. In restaurants, it's common to see people hanging their bags on chairbacks or using special hooks rather than placing them on the floor. The belief has interesting historical roots, potentially stemming from a time when floors were literally dirty and could damage valuable possessions. However, the superstition has evolved beyond practical concerns into a powerful cultural taboo. Shopping centers often feature dedicated bag rests or hooks in fitting rooms and restrooms. Even modern office spaces have adapted to this cultural preference by providing elevated storage solutions for personal belongings. The impact of this belief extends beyond personal behavior into commercial and design considerations. Interior designers regularly incorporate storage solutions that accommodate this cultural preference. Brazilian fashion designers often create bags with protective bottoms or built-in stands. Some luxury brands have even developed Brazil-specific versions of their bags with additional protective features. 4. Walking under ladders with extra meaning. While walking under ladders is considered unlucky in many cultures, Brazil takes this superstition to another level with unique cultural implications. In Brazilian tradition, walking under a ladder isn't just about general bad luck. It's specifically believed to affect one's marriage prospects and romantic relationships. Single people who walk under ladders are thought to be condemning themselves to never finding a spouse, while those in relationships might face unexpected breakups or marital problems. This belief has evolved to include various intricate rules and exceptions. Some believe that the bad luck can be countered by walking backward under the same ladder 7 times, though this remedy itself is controversial as others claim it only compounds the misfortune. Another popular belief suggests that if you accidentally walk under a ladder, you should make the sign of the cross and say a specific prayer to ward off the romantic curse. Many businesses have developed specific protocols for setting up ladders that minimize the possibility of people walking under them. Shopping centers and public buildings often create alternative pathways when maintenance work requires ladder placement, considering both safety and cultural beliefs. Event planners and decorators are particularly careful about ladder placement during setup, ensuring that guests won't be forced to choose between taking a longer route or risking their romantic futures. The belief has even influenced how some Brazilian buildings are maintained, with certain facilities preferring to use alternative equipment like scissor lifts or scaffolding rather than traditional ladders in public areas. This demonstrates how a common superstition has developed distinctly Brazilian characteristics and consequences, influencing both personal behavior and professional practices. 3. Passing salt hand to hand. In Brazilian culture, directly passing salt from one person's hand to another is considered a serious taboo that can lead to arguments and damaged relationships. Instead, Brazilians carefully place the salt shaker on the table for the other person to pick up. This belief is so deeply embedded in social interactions that even in casual dining settings, people will consciously avoid direct salt transfers, often making a point to set the salt down even if the recipient's hand is already extended. The origins of this taboo are linked to various historical and religious beliefs. Some say it dates back to the Last Supper and Judas's betrayal, while others connect it to ancient Roman traditions where salt was extremely valuable. In Brazilian folklore, the belief has evolved to suggest that passing salt directly between hands creates an energy transfer that can lead to conflicts and misunderstandings between the people involved. The superstition has become so ingrained that it's often taught to children as part of basic table manners. The impact of this belief extends far beyond family dinners. In professional settings, restaurants train their staff specifically about this cultural norm. Waiters are taught to place salt shakers on the table rather than handing them directly to customers. And table settings are designed to ensure easy access to condiments without requiring direct passing. Even in casual restaurants and cafes, you might notice multiple salt shakers placed strategically around the dining area to minimize the need for passing. 2. Opening umbrellas indoors. The taboo against opening umbrellas indoors in Brazil goes beyond the common superstition found in other cultures. In Brazilian tradition, this action is believed to not only bring general bad luck, but specifically invite death into the household. The belief is so strong that even during heavy rainstorms, Brazilians will wait until they're completely outside before opening their umbrellas, often getting partially wet in the process. This taboo extends to all indoor spaces, including offices, shopping malls, and public buildings. The intensity of this belief has led to interesting adaptations in Brazilian architecture and design. Many buildings incorporate covered entrances or special umbrella storage areas that allow people to close their umbrellas before entering and open them after fully exiting. Some modern office buildings and shopping centers have even installed automatic umbrella wrapping machines at their entrances, not just for cleanliness, but also to ensure that no one needs to open an umbrella indoors while unwrapping it. This cultural belief has influenced various aspects of daily life and business practices. Umbrella shops in Brazil often have special protocols for displaying and demonstrating their products, usually conducting all umbrella testing in designated outdoor areas. During rainy season events, organizers must carefully plan entrance and exit strategies to accommodate this belief. Some buildings have even installed special transition zones, covered areas that are technically considered outdoor spaces. 1. Placing empty bottles on tables. The opening section of our exploration into Brazilian taboos focuses on one of the most peculiar yet strictly observed customs: the prohibition against placing empty bottles on dining tables. This taboo is taken so seriously in Brazilian culture that dinner hosts will quickly remove empty bottles, and restaurant staff are trained to clear them immediately. The belief suggests that leaving empty bottles on a table can bring poverty and financial hardship to those seated around it. This superstition has deep historical roots, possibly originating from a time when bottle deposits were a significant source of income for poor families. Leaving empty bottles on the table might have been seen as a sign of wastefulness or disrespect for resources. Some believe the taboo dates back to colonial times, when empty bottles signified that a household couldn't afford to keep their wine cellar stocked, thus bringing shame to the family. The impact of this belief on modern Brazilian hospitality and service industry is fascinating. Restaurants incorporate this cultural sensitivity into their service training, making bottle clearance a top priority. Waitstaff are specifically trained to remove empty bottles promptly, often carrying special trays designed for this purpose. At social gatherings, hosts often designate specific areas for empty bottles away from dining tables, and some venues even create elaborate bottle collection systems to ensure compliance with this cultural norm.